I'm John Anfinson. I'm a historian with the Mississippi National River and Recreation Area, a unit of the National Park Service here on the Mississippi River. And we're here today looking at the Mississippi River because the Corps of Engineers has drawn it down, lowered the Mississippi by 13 feet to a level that you rarely see it at. In fact, it hasn't been this low for 20 years almost. So we're taking people out here today to show them what the Mississippi looked like in its natural condition when you could actually see the rapids in the Mississippi. And you can see them today because the river is so low.
My name is David Wiggins. I'm a park ranger with the Mississippi National River and Recreation Area. At the time Mill City Museum was being conceived and designed, I was part of the original team for that too. So I'm happy to be down here today with a group from the Friends of the Mississippi River. We're touring the falls as they're doing the drawdown, taking the water down about 13 feet to inspect Bassett Creek Tunnel. So we're seeing some things you haven't seen for many years out there in the river. It's a great day.
The question is, would they take the river down in the summer? Well, they won't probably do that because of navigation. So that would no more navigation, as you can see how low the river is.
Okay, right.
Right now, navigation would not be possible.
The second issue with that is this time of year the native mussels are down on the substrate, so they're a little more protected. When you, as they did when the 35W bridge had them draw the river down, you're going to expose some native mussels up a little bit more in the summer months. So the thought was that this time of year they're really down far enough it shouldn't affect them during this drawdown.
Dave, are there ecological reasons why it would be good to do this occasionally in terms of restoring some habitat or something?
You know, I think the ecological practice that would be better would be to do something that simulates the natural fluctuation of the river, so you've got the emergent vegetation on the shorelines to work with. The river did naturally have some dramatic cycles, and you get periods of drought and that, and there may be some advantages to going to those extremes. We know one thing, for example, that when the river got dry and it heated up quite a bit, as we got close to the temperature that kills off zebra mussels, but doesn't kill off native mussels. So there would be reasons for that purpose, but I don't think that we could say that you know that it's worth the experiment when we don't really know what we're doing with some of that.
Yeah, and I think fortunately there's been no zebra mussels found up this far, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
The other thing with the drawdowns that they're doing, like in Pool 8, the reservoirs downstream and the big reservoirs, there the opportunity is to recreate some of the ecological habitat, let the river fall to its natural level, let the muds compact, the arrowhead and other plants can start growing, and then when the water comes back up, migratory waterfall can eat those. As you can see from this little pool here, there's not a lot of side channel habitat. There's not going to be a lot of ecological rebound. We can repeat this if there's other people come. One of the fascinating things about this little area here, it's called a pool. The reservoirs behind dams are called pools. Well, this is the smallest pool of all the 29 locks and dams on the Mississippi. It's about 1/4 mile long, but in that 1/4 mile, the river drops 26 feet. So the lock and dam, Lower St. Anthony Falls Lock and Dam below us is the 4th highest lock and dam on the Mississippi River. So they wanted to take advantage of the rapid fall here, and this you can see the rapids being restored here. When Father Louis Hennepin came up the river in 1680, the first European to see it, he said that St. Anthony Falls was about anywhere from 40 to 60 feet high. Jonathan Carver, who came in 1766, said it was 30 feet high. And then Zebulon Pike, the American explorer, comes and says, it's about 16.5 feet high. And the reason for the exaggeration in the height might have been is that when you look at the full extent of the falls from up here all the way down, and you got a lot of water flowing through here, some people said you could really consider this whole area the waterfall, not just the immediate drop. So it's a really steep grade through here. And ecologically, one of the things you could restore here, if you dropped Lock and Dam 1 pool as well, is when Carver was here in 1766, he said there's all kinds of eagles' nests around St. Anthony. And he said, the reason for all the eagles' nests here were all the fish trying to migrate up to St. Anthony Falls. So there were fish migrating and probably spawning in these rock rapids, in this rock strata here. And so it's probably a really rich place ecologically. So if we could restore the rapids, you might see a migration of fish back up to this part of the river.
it's kind of like a bubbler in a fish tank. You know, it puts a lot of oxygen into the water, and it makes it really attractive habitat for fish that need that oxygen. So, and then the ecological benefit would continue because, of course, the major environmental impact in the river in our corridor comes in off the Minnesota River, joining it with all the agricultural runoff and excess nutrients coming in from the Minnesota River. So the environmental benefit of having a restored rapids here was you'd send this highly oxygenated water in to meet with all these nutrients and start to cook that soup up a little bit better. So these are long-term visions, and I don't know if we're going to see this anytime real soon, but it really is kind of neat to get some sense of that looking at the rapids here.
To really take advantage of this drop, William Delabarre, who was the real engineer who captured the hydropower of St. Anthony, he decided he wanted to build a dam below here in 1895 and to make one of the first hydroelectric plants in this area. Not the first by any means, but he wanted to build a hydroelectric dam down there. So in 1895 to 97, he builds his Delabarre's Folly, it's called. People think it's a ridiculous thing to build this huge long dam across the Mississippi below us. But he builds it and completes it, and then an engineering magazine, Engineering News, says it's actually one of the greatest accomplishments in engineering, dam engineering in the United States, next to Niagara Falls. So it's a long dam, about 2,000 feet below here. He puts a hydro station in. As they're building it, water gets underneath the dam. Into the sandstone strata here, starts scouring it out, and part of the dam collapses into the river. Later, about 1905, after it's built, water again gets under a part of the dam and starts scouring it out. But the Corps of Engineers fills it in and stabilizes it. Then in 1956, the Corps of Engineers comes in and decides to build the Upper Harbor Project, Upper and Lower St. Anthony Falls Lock and Dam. 1956, they take out Delabarre's dam, and they put in the Lower St. Anthony Falls Lock and Dam. But they leave. No, actually, if the steam clears a little, we should be able to see the outline of the dam, the original dam in the river. It ran at an angle up this way and then over. So it's not in the same alignment. But they just connected into the lower hydro station. 1987, water undermines the lower hydro station, and it actually collapses into the hole and is destroyed.
I actually had the privilege of talking to somebody who was inside that hydro station as it was collapsing. And he said that what happened at first was the door went askew and they couldn't open this big metal door. And they knew the plant was collapsing and they couldn't get out. So somebody thought quickly, got on top of a forklift inside there and rammed it into the door, pulled it off with the fork of the forklift, and they all got out before it got worse.
And actually what happened was there was some. You can see it right here, see the arches in the hydro plant behind us? What happened was the arches just dropped out. Two of the walls that form the arches just disappeared into the river. 1987. So they knew when the arches went that the foundation was going as well.
How long was it I don't remember how long the river was kept drawn down for the work of that?
Well, the river actually escaped out the hole, so until they could actually dam the river up again, which they did as quickly, it's probably a week or two. I'm not sure the exact time. It took a while to build an earthen dam to reestablish navigation for this part of the river.
Where is Bassett Creek outflow, which is the reason they're doing this drawdown from where we stand right now?
That's one of the big questions we're trying to figure out. I think it might actually come into the Mill Ruins Park up here a little ways. It's a fairly big tunnel.
Is it? And so you can't point it out right now?
Not from here.
Okay.
We can't see it. So it's a pretty good sized tunnel.
It's the parking lot where those cars are.
Yeah. So Brad, this is Brad Perkle from the. He always says the War Department. He's from the Army Corps of Engineers. He hasn't changed yet.
Smart guy.
The guy with all the funding, right?
Bassett Creek is those cars parked over there. There's a tunnel right underneath that, and then so that opening and the one immediately to its left or downstream, that's the Bassett Creek tunnel.